They believed community guidelines ensured their safety, but a single act of malice would soon unravel everything. When Linda, the HOA's most domineering figure, spotted solar panels on her neighbor's roof, she thought they marred the neighborhood's flawless aesthetic. Without discussion, she seized a can of paint and scaled the roof under the scorching sun, smearing dark streaks over the gleaming panels. Initially, she grinned, convinced she'd enforced her standards with a lesson. Unbeknownst to her, those panels didn't just power his house, they sustained the entire community security network. When they went offline, the neighborhood would discover the true peril of her error. As darkness fell, tension spread through the streets. Surveillance cameras shut off one by one, motion sensors stayed dormant, and the steady hum of protection that residents had trusted for years fell silent. Neighbors huddled in bewilderment, murmuring about the sudden failure of the system. Meanwhile, Linda boasted to her allies about fixing the solar panels, but her smugness wavered as frustration mounted. Families grew uneasy, kids were kept indoors, and even delivery drivers halted at the entrance because the scanners stopped working. The men whose panels she defaced remained quiet at first, observing as the truth began to close in on her. The safety of countless households was now at risk, and suspicion was growing fast. The neighborhood's anxiety turned to outrage as small crimes emerged. Packages vanished from doorsteps, unfamiliar figures roamed past unlit cameras, and vehicles loitered at corners without security lights. Residents demanded answers from the HOA. Linda feigned ignorance, claiming the system had glitched, but her uneasy grin gave her away. At a tense HOA meeting, the man with the panels finally spoke, his voice calm but sharp, revealing that the panels had been painted over, leaving every home vulnerable. The room gasped as eyes turned to Linda. She fumbled, denying involvement at first, but neighbors recalled her rants, her warnings, her fixation on appearances. For once, Linda felt her control slipping. Chaos escalated in the days that followed. Without the security system, the neighborhood wasn't just exposed, it was a magnet for trouble. Police reports multiplied, neighbors clashed, and residents demanded swift repairs. The men explained the costly and time-intensive process to replace the ruined panels, damaged beyond repair by the paint. Linda tried to deflect, arguing he hadn't sought HOA permission, but her words only fueled anger. Parents snapped that no rule excused endangering their kids' safety. Allies she once ruled through intimidation and gossip turned away. The influence she'd fought to maintain was collapsing faster than she'd ever expected. Linda's stubborn pride refused to yield, but the consequences of her actions pressed harder. Each night, as lights stayed off and shadows loomed over driveways, she felt the burden of her decision. She hadn't just painted over panels, she'd erased trust, safety, and peace of mind. The man, calm and deliberate, collaborated with experts to install a temporary power fix, but he ensured the HOA knew the full cost of the damage. Every dollar underscored the recklessness of her act. The community that once endured Linda's rules now demanded accountability. For the first time, Linda wasn't feared, she was scorned. The breaking point came at a final HOA meeting. Fed up with fear and frustration, dozens of residents signed a petition to oust Linda and hold her financially accountable. Voices once muted by her authority rose in unison. The man stood at the forefront, his words clear and potent, "Safety shields us all. One person's ego should never jeopardize a whole community." His statement rang through the room, leaving Linda shaken. She made a final plea, claiming she only cared about the neighborhood's image, but the crowd had decided. Appearances no longer mattered, security did. Ultimately, Linda lost all she thought she held. Stripped of her role, ordered to pay for repairs, and ostracized by the neighbors she once dominated, she left in silence. The panels were replaced, the system reactivated, and with it came a renewed sense of togetherness. The man, once seen as a rule-breaker, was now viewed as the quiet protector who sacrificed for their safety. Linda's fall became a cautionary tale murmured across the neighborhood: when pride overshadows care, ruin follows. As the security lights flickered back on, every household understood the cost of one person's arrogance, and the strength of uniting against it.